Okay, let's begin. So, hello everyone, welcome back to Research Basics Phase 1. Today is the video 2, Step in Research Process. As you already know that for a few weeks we will be doing easy understanding of research in very simple language. So, moving on, today's content is explaining research process stepwise, and I will use my MBA thesis for a reference. Just a background, I did my MBA in 2020 during COVID time. So my thesis is about the same topic, but I'll explain that later. Okay, slide 1, research process. So I will not take a lot of time here because everyone know what process is all about. Let's do a quick glimpse. Research identification, research problem identification, literature review, setting research objectives and questions, research methodologies, data collection, analysis, finding and discussion, and then conclusion recommendation. I'll do the slide very quickly, so please pause whenever you want, and you can read it accordingly. So, in the process, let's go with the step one, research problem identification. Okay, uh, I'll tell you what I did, what this step is all about. The step means you need to define the issue that you want to study, a problem that should be specific, relevant, and researchable. So, what I did when I was doing my MBA thesis was that I asked myself three questions. I call it a three question formula. The first one is what is the most trending issue in Nepal at that time? Second one, what is the most impacted sector? Finally, what are the key factors associated with it? With that, I got my problem statement. I will not read this part here because this question is all about how did I come up with the research problem. So you can pause and read accordingly. It's just about how during COVID period a company can empower their employee, something like that. Literature review. Literature review is step two of the research. Just to let you know, this step is all about, in simple word, find articles. As simple as that. Meaning we need to search published paper in our domain, and we need to read them a lot. So how do I find articles? So if you see, the article finding is a very simple process. Just go to Google and type your domain and then the keyword, as simple as that. I'll just show you quickly. So once I find one paper, I will go to bibliography section, and then I'll find more papers. And then finally, I will read all those papers summary, research findings, hypothesis testing, theoretical framework, and try finding a gap. Gap means something that you have not explored before. Like if in any topic, what is not discussed much is the gap. So I listed some papers like this. It's all about quite a at that time it was new papers, and then my professor recommended me to go for latest paper like 3 to 4 years, not more than that. Within 10 years also fine, but I need to have a less papers. So this is what I did in literature review. So here I would like to request everyone to take a pause and think about your X and Y. I know the variable setting step is in step 4, research methodologies, but in between literature review and before setting the research objectives and questions, if you want to, I would say, make your life easier, you need to pause here and define independent variables. So, uh, here is the steps. I'll tell you what I did in here, but before going to that, let's discuss about what is X and Y. So let's remember this statement first. We want to see how X influences Y. And then instead of influences, we can also write words like relationship between X and Y, cause what can causes Y, or what how X can determine Y, something like this. These are the all verbs. Please remember that. And then let's go with what I did. Basically, we are constructing our theoretical framework here, but this step is later on. It will come later in step 4, as I said before. But here you can save your effort, and it will save your time and effort a lot. So what I did in my research was that I asked myself three key questions again, similar to previous slide. The first question is, what is the core relationship in my research? Meaning that what is my thesis giving? If you remember slide 1, I talked about how COVID pandemic and then the employee motivation. So my thesis is all about wow, what company can do to sustain the motivation, something like that. So what I'm trying to study, I wanted to know how the company social responsibility, corporate social responsibility, we call CSR, that can impact the employee motivation. So here X is impacting Y. It's very clear. Step 2 is define your Y, meaning dependent variable. As you already know right now, our dependent variable is there are so many factors that can impact the employee motivation, right, to stay or not stay. So employee motivation is the Y, because I wanted to measure how motivated employees are. And finally, what are my independent variables, meaning that what can causes changes in my Y, like if employee is motivated to stay, why, what are the factors, if they want to leave, again what are the factors. So I chose factors like safe workplace, flexible work setting, resident rewarding, and relationship management, which might affect the motivation. Of course, I did a lot of literature review, as I said in slide step 2. Only I could come up with these variables. So there is one more thing I would like to talk about, the moderating variable, meaning that to set a moderating variable, you need to understand two key questions. Do I need to hold anything constant to get accurate results? Second one is there something that might influence the relationship between X and Y? But then this is more about how what factors could be there that directly or indirectly or into some extent impact your Y. In my thesis, for any bachelor or master thesis, the X and Y are only enough. You may not go with a moderating variable because it can be confusing sometimes. So fix your X and Y in this step. Now the other step would be very easy. Let's go to step 3, setting research question objectives. So here we want to understand what the study aims to achieve and how it guides the entire study. Now what did I do? As you already know, I have my X and Y from slides, this special slide. So now this setting objective and questions is cakewalk. Like, how did I draft my research objectives? I'll just give you some hacks. Like I wrote my objective like this: 2 plus answering what I was trying to study or prove. So I'll just see to see how CSR impacts affects employee motivation. Write a statement like this, then you are good to go. Second one is the hack 2 is 2 plus verb plus X plus on Y, meaning you remember the verb I gave you here, this kind of verbs. So to see the impact of safe workplace on employee motivation, one of the X factors that we discussed before. Second one is 2 plus understand the relationship between plus X and Y, just a formula for you. So to understand the relationship between flexible work setting and employee motivation, list down all the X variable and the statements. If you read here, it is basically exactly same. I'll just zoom it for you. Same thing, I won't repeat it here. Drafting the research questions, how did I do that? The hack is, does X plus verb plus on Y, meaning does X really impacts Y? For example, here you can see, does the safe workplace have impact on employee motivation? This is X, this is the Y, as simple as that. Other questions can be what plus is the current status of Y plus industry it operates. If you see here in question number 5, you can see what is the current status in employee motivation in Nepali service sector in the pandemic period. So this is how I draw the question. Again, objective setting and questionnaire setting will come up as a process in a research, but if you have X and Y, you can follow this routing. This is a hack for you. Just a quick time saver. It will save a lot of effort, to be very precise with you. Next one is step 4, research methodologies. Here is where we will define X and Y here, but we already did before. Just chill with this one. Define how the research will be conducted is what we are going to do here. It includes sampling, variables, and analysis methods. You need to talk with your supervisor, professor, because he will help you a lot in this. He will tell you what to do, how to do, like what research methodologies to use. To understand what I did, I would like to talk about GTA framework. I designed it by myself. Just for a quick knowledge sharing. GTA means G, get data information, T, theoretical framework, and A, analysis methods. So for let's go with the G first. Okay, question yourself, how am I going to collect data? Like, am I going to do a survey or case study or desktop research? Like, survey means, you get questionnaire from your friends, from the senior people, like a professor or other senior students. So questionnaire kind of thing is all about survey. Case studies, like, you need to select some cases and understand them. For example, which one is better, Netflix or Amazon Prime? Just go Google it and then find the cases. Last one is desktop research. I just wrote this as a example, like bank and insurance risk analysis project. This one, you just go to the desktop and then find reports from the website and just do analysis over there. So I chose survey as my research method. I was sending a questionnaire to respondent over mail, Facebook, WhatsApp, and asking them to fill it. So the second question is, how should I prepare the questionnaire or use others? So in my case, I prepare my own questionnaire. And who will be surveyed, how many sample I need. So I sent to the people working in Nepalese service sector, corporate sector, and the sample size of 202. My professor told me 200 is enough because it was COVID year 2020, so I just added two more to just make a memorable one. This is my questionnaire snapshot. Let me zoom a bit for you. Sorry, bring it to front. So this question is something like this. Like, this is the preliminary question, like gender, age. They will just stick it in a Google form. I'll show you that later on. Second one is T, theoretical framework. So question yourself. You don't need to question yourself anything here because you already have an X and Y's. But just remember, X is the independent variable, Y is a dependent variable, and then make a framework like this. This is my framework. Center back. This is my framework, like dependent. I wrote it like this. It is also useful for the hypothesis thing, H1, H2. I'll show you that later on. And finally, the A means analysis method. Like, now you have a question, right? Now you have a questionnaire with you, but how are you going to find the answer and then analyze those data? Because there are so many things you will get. I took input from my supervisor. He told me to use Excel for demographics and SPSS for the statistical test, hypothesis testing tools. So here is a quick back quick summary. Like, these are the tests that I did online in SPSS. That's why I told you before, if you remember, here supervisor input will be most important here because he will tell you how to do that. Don't worry, just go with him, he will help you on this one. Step 5, data collection analysis. Now just remember, you already have your data, like you are sending the Google form or some physical forms to the people to fill the forms. But once you have information, what are you going to do? So this step is all about collecting responses, processing data, and analyzing the trends. What did I do? First, what should I do with the collected data? There are some questions. You can pause this anytime you want, but just let me read the key questions. First one is, so explain the respondent profile and then demographics. Analyze each question contribution to the variable, like some can be more influential, some can be less influential. Third one is, check the impact of each variable, X variable on Y, like by what degree, right? Fourth one is hypothesis rejection or acceptance, like are all the hypotheses that we took accepted or not, something like that. And finally, fifth questions, come up with the conclusion, like what is the takeaways. I use SPSS tool like this. This is the screenshot of my research. I remember this one. So I just asked him about this to my supervisor, and he would tell us what to do with the p-value, descriptive statistics, regression coefficient, and something like that. Just talk to him once. But in case of step 6, which is finding and discussion, now I'll tell you what to do. This is where explaining what the data reveals and how it answers research questions. This is what you should do. But the hack is, for somebody like us, the hack is try answering all the questions from step 5. Here I will show you how. Like, these are the questions, and then first thing that you should do is how do you answer this question, right? You will make a profile like this, respondent profile based on gender, Excel, something like this. This is the first finding. Second finding is that analyze each question's contribution to the variable, right? If you see here, out of all the values, the green one has the highest mean value, right? This one, which means that maximum respondent feel that this question has more impact to the in compared to other 5 questions here. And then also if you see fifth here, blue box, this question has 3.45, the lowest mean value. It means that people do agree, but the agreement is lesser than other statements. Here I can know that if the company they don't have a COVID safety measures, they might have an employee less motivated, something like that. So this is where what you should do. And you can, I just took this from chapter 4, thesis chapter 4, as it is. This statement is from my thesis paper. This is what you're supposed to do. Second, check the impact of X on Y, each X on Y. I'll take a first X, okay, the safe workplace, if you remember that I took. You can see here the p-value significance 0.001 is higher than 0.00, meaning that safe workplace do accept this test, meaning this increases or decreases employee motivation because the model says 1% is significance stable. So which means that this factor is quite influential. But then by what unit is here? If you see 0.620 is the unit, which means by 1 unit increase in or change in safe workplace leads to this much increase in employee motivation. And my equation, regression equation would be like this. If in case of safe workplace, SW as a variable, this is the equation. I use these variables here. You can pause it and then read it by yourself. Second one is also, you can see here ANOVA test. I did a lot of the other in ANOVA test as well. This X has lower value than 0.05, here 0.01. So these are all significant predictor for the my dependent variables. Yes. Fifth question is hypothesis testing. Again, here I found the sigma value for all the variables, and they are all significance level is, the testing significance level is 0.05, meaning everything is less than 0.05. So hypotheses are valid. This is what I found. And when I check this variable here, everything is less than 0.05, meaning with everything is within the 95% confidence interval level. All are accepted. This is what I chose, what I found in my thesis. Finally, coming up with the conclusion, what I found was that there are so many factors, you can read it here. There are so many factors that can motivate it or demotivate the employees, but safe workplace can be a key one. This is what I found. Also, there are other factors has a good relationship with my predictor, like with my X. And step 7 is the conclusion and recommendation. The question that I did was here. The hack is, first, what key insight can be drawn from the study, significant finding, how this COVID is the work environment, and strongest Y, strongest X, any pattern, something like these are the questions that I answered in here. Second one is in recommendation and future direction. We can also talk about what the company can do from my thesis, what could be, what sector can be, future researcher can be going. I mean, what future researcher can do in this area to explore, to get more insights, and then limitation from this one, something like that. So I wrote this kind of conclusion from my understanding. So let's conclude the video. It's already too long by now. So there are basically 3 key takeaways for this video. The first one is research is a structured step-by-step process from the problem identification to the conclusion. You cannot jump in between. Each step builds on a previous one, meaning everything is correlated with each other. You need to ensure a logical and well supported study. And the final one is well research paper tells a complete story. As you already know, everything has its own meaning, and then a research, if I give you a quick summary, then if you see, my research started with the COVID pandemic and then ended with what a company can do during COVID thing. As simple as that. Just a bonus tip for you: before starting a research, define your variables because it will save a life. Yeah, thank you all for this one.